The barrier to success is not technology anymore. It's your capacity to learn and adopt and understand how to apply technology. The definition of remarkable is to be remarked upon. Like, one of the principles I live my business life by is that distribution is undefeated. That if you have distribution, you will figure everything else out.
Welcome to Trailblazers, the podcast where we sit down with contrarian tech leaders who found conventional success in unconventional ways. Today on the show, I am so excited to be chatting with Kipp Bodnar. Kipp is the Chief Marketing Officer of HubSpot, the #1 CRM platform for scaling companies, where he leads the company's global marketing strategy, driving awareness, demand, and growth across one of the most influential software brands in the world. Before stepping into the CMO role, Kipp served as VP of Marketing at HubSpot, overseeing worldwide demand gen, building out the EMEA and APAC marketing teams, and managing field marketing, localization, strategic partnerships, and social media. He's helped shape how modern SaaS companies think about growth at scale. Beyond HubSpot, Kipp is a trusted advisor to leading SaaS companies like Simply Measured, Insight Squared, and Guidebook. He's also the co-author of the B2B Social Media Book, a playbook for marketers looking to generate real results through digital channels. An industry-leading speaker, blogger, and marketing strategist, Kipp combines storytelling with data-driven execution and has been at the forefront of how B2B marketing has evolved over the past decade. This is going to be a masterclass in modern marketing. Let's welcome Kipp.
Thanks, Erica. So happy to be here. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be really fun.
I get to talk marketing.
We get to talk all things marketing, kind of our favorite topic. I mean, definitely your favorite topic, one of my favorite topics.
I think it's one of both of our favorite topics. Let's go.
It is. Fun. Okay, so before we get into the meat of the interview, we like to start every podcast with a bit of a hard-hitting question.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you a softball.
Please don't.
So what has been the hardest part of your journey so far? If you look back for the past couple decades, it can be personal or professional. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Right now. It is hard right now.
Yeah.
The world is changing at an alarmingly fast rate. And the gap between like the technology world and the main street regular world is widening at a unprecedented rate. And what that means for people who are trying to tell stories, build companies, like I have found that, like, honestly, I've woken up most days stressed for the last 6-ish months because it feels like everything existential is happening all at once. And I'm normally a very relaxed human being, but man, is the decision making and knowing what is the right strategy and then being able to execute it fast enough in this moment very, very hard right now.
Yeah, this is a sentiment everyone is sharing, so you're not alone in that, luckily. It's not like you guys are uniquely going through a hard experience.
No.
Was there a moment in the past 6-ish months, I would guess it was 6 months ago, where you realized this, like where you were like, wow, we really got to wake up, we really got to move faster? Was there something you can point to that really woke you up?
Well, look, I think there are a lot of, I think we at HubSpot and myself, we've been going much faster since the ChatGPT launch. I think there have been moments that accelerated, that were like the next inflection points, like Nano Banana coming out and VO3 coming out and having really good multimedia models. So for marketing, like that's a big deal. And then I think the obvious one is like the Claude Code December, where everybody's like, oh, Claude Code's like actually really great now, and it's great for mere mortals, and people like me who don't write a lot of code can use Claude Code, and that opens up a whole new possibilities of what you can make and build and do. And like that, you're just like, wow, my mind is a little broken at like the end of this possibilities. And because of that, like where you spend and focus your time has like never been more important, because you can do anything. You can do anything.
But also it's like you said, you need to move so fast because things are changing all the time. The thing that I remind myself too, and I'm sure you feel this way, is that we're so impressed by the models right now, but they're only going to get better.
They're only going to get so much better.
And they're only going to get better so much faster than they have been before. And so how do you rationalize that? Do you sort of just like throw your hands and say like, I take it one day at a time? Do you say, we just spend so much time on like strategy and just trying to point the arrow in the right direction? What's the take there? Because when so much is changing and it does feel so overwhelming, what's the mindset, and what's the mindset for the team?
I think the mindset that I've tried to adopt is like, you have to learn every day. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand what is possible, that the barrier to success is not technology anymore. It's your capacity to learn and adopt and understand how to apply technology. And I'd argue this is a first for at least everybody in like the bits world and the software world, where it's like you are not limited by what can be done. You know, what I tell my team all the time is like, I think we are ahead of the market. We are way behind of the opportunity. Right? Like you can still be ahead relative to everybody else, but that actually doesn't matter. What actually matters is like, what is the ultimate potential you should be at and how close can you get to that? And that is the challenge that I feel like we are up against. And every day it's basically like, how can we get closer to meeting that opportunity? So it's like, how do you transform workflows? How do you get the right data in context? How do you make sure that you have the right agents, the right systems to actually build and storytell in a very modern way, which is completely different than it's happened historically.
Totally. And I think a lot of what we're talking about is what, like, let's use Claude Code as an example, what a lot of individuals are doing, like Claude Co-work.
Yeah.
A lot of individuals are working really hard to create their own vibe-coded tool, but you are representing a giant multi-billion-dollar organization. So speed is something that multi-billion-dollar organizations have never been good at. How do you encourage an entire organization to change their mindset, always be moving, always be iterating? Because I think it's so easy in the media to talk about like, oh, this young kid out of Stanford vibe coded this thing and sold it for $30 million in 2 months.
Sure.
That's very different than a giant organization with hundreds of employees. How do you make a big organization move fast?
Yeah, we can talk about the software and that side of and vibe coding and all that kind of stuff. But you talk about like organizational speed. The metaphor I always use and I always think about is like, who or what is the pace car? Like, what's setting the pace, right? If you're an organization, you're a team, if you want to know how fast to go, like you need to know like what the pace of the race is. And I think for me and the team that I run, it's like my job is to be the pace car. My job is to be moving people faster. Like, what does that look like in practice? It looks like slacking and pinging people constantly on like this tool, this model, this thing I built. It's showcasing the best work that the best people are doing, right? To show everybody what is uniquely possible, both not just from a speed perspective, but like fidelity and value and impact. And I think the number one thing the average leader or startup founder can do right now is to like set that pace, set the expectation of what great really looks like. And it's far faster and far different than most people think. I think the challenge most companies face is those leaders are not in the technical possibility weeds enough to really like set the pace for their teams.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're tinkering a lot yourself. So you can say, hey, I built this cool thing, take a look, or hey, I just tried this tool. It's actually a lot more hype than it's worth. And having your own point of view, it sounds like on a lot of tooling has helped.
Yeah, like for example, Perplexity Computer came out like a week ago from when we're recording this. And so I was building a bunch of stuff in Perplexity Computer because it's like a little bit more accessible than Claude Code for like the every person. And I had to build an entire product marketing assessment skill, crawl our whole website, grade our gaps, do all of that. And you're like, oh, this all makes sense. Like, these are the trade-offs we have made. Should we still be making these trade-offs? And like, you can then have a whole conversation with your team around, oh, this is where we're at. I think we largely agree this is where we're at. It's much easier now to visualize it and for us all to be on the same page. Now, like, what action do we want to take? So it's kind of a twofer. You get to build interesting things, but you also then get to show people how those things apply really meaningfully to the work they do every day.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I think one of the things we all know and love is like that you can visualize stuff so quickly, whether it's like a gamma presentation or it's some of this like nano banana stuff, which is wild. You can like mock up and whip up stuff so fast.
Completely.
And for visual learners, that is so valuable. And for I mean, I think in general, like having a mock-up website to sell with that's like all custom, that's so valuable.
Yeah, I think that's becoming one of the hallmarks of modern teams is the show, not tell.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to know a team or a person or a leader who's really in the modern way of working, they're showing you, they're not telling you. They've mocked something up, they've built a prototype, they've done these things, and that's clearly like becoming a de facto way of doing this work.
I mean, it's the same as an investor. It's like, why am I going to back someone who can't just show me an MVP? Because it's so easy to create just like a super basic product at this point, even if it's vibe coded.
Yes, of course.
0 to 1, doesn't need to be anything crazy. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, it's sort of a difficult question, but I'd love your honest take.
Yeah, let's do it.
A lot of C-suite executives now, at least the ones that I speak to, and especially in the past week since the Block layoffs, we're hearing a lot of conversations about how AI is affecting labor. There's a lot of things it's affecting. I think labor is the hot button topic because the media is so used to it. It's so used to layoffs as a correlation to like markets and company performance. You know, these giant marketing teams that a lot of companies have how are they going to evolve? Do we need all the marketers? Are we going to have a combination of marketers and agents? Is it going to be all agents? Talk to me about like your vision for the marketing team of the future. Doesn't have to be necessarily specific to HubSpot, but just in general,
what do we
how
think
does
is
that
going to
evolve?
happen in the market? And if you're listening out here, how should you think about building or managing or leading the teams, whatever size, whether it be yourself or 100 people? What should that look like? I think it's the best piece of writing that I think I have read in the last couple of years is Packy McCormick's Superintelligence Abundance. And that whole article is about that as you get more and more intelligence, the human capacity to consume and build awesome things only grows. And so you're seeing that right now with early data around software engineering jobs. Like, it's never been easier to be a software engineer in theory, and we still want way more of them, right? So I think where there's areas for growth and there are skills that drive growth for a company, then I think that is going to probably either stay flat with people and agents or maybe grow a little bit. I don't think it's going to grow parabolic like the old like 1.0 era of software. I think the challenging part that there are some skills, some roles that just become less important in the world in terms of like, if you think about even like the content creation workflow, you used to have very specialized writing, localization, image designing, web development. Like all those things are very important, but they can be consolidated into like a person doing multiple or all of those things depending on the skill of that person. And so you're still doing the same things. You're either doing it at a much higher fidelity or pace, or you're doing it with like a smaller group of people. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to the company and their strategy. And like from a marketing perspective, sometimes they're going to lean in and want to get a lot of efficiency there. And there'll probably be a bunch of change in orgs. Really high growth companies, I think you'll probably see the headcount flat-ish and keep getting leverage from hybrid teams. We've got awesome people on our team who are building like awesome hybrid agent teams where you might have one person and a dozen agents doing the work of a traditional team, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And you guys have so many resources, so I feel like you guys have to be at the forefront of that. And even me just knowing you, I know you will be. Yep. What are the areas within marketing where you see that happening the most? Whether it's one person with a team of 12 agents, whether it's, a team of 5 with 50 agents, but sort of this like outnumbering of great agents and great tools as compared to the humans.
Yeah, so I think if I was listening to this show
and
I was doing work of any kind, especially in marketing, I would really take a day and I would record my work and what I do every day. And I would either take the transcripts of the video and put it in Claude or Gemini. And I would just extrapolate, like, what is my job and what are the skills of my job? And what parts of those skills I should be doing versus should be like skill MD files that an agent or someone should be doing. And I think, one, that's the basis of what I would do. The next thing we're seeing is people. I'll give you a very tangible example. A very traditional thing for marketing is to do brand advertising, creative production. And so you go and you hire a director, you hire some actors, you bid out a shoot of a location you shoot, and you go spend somewhere between low hundreds to millions of dollars, depending on your company, to go do that. And we do that like a couple times a year. We also have an amazing AI first video editor who went and made similar fidelity productions using AI, and we tested the creative against each other. And like the AI creative was like performed like 85-90% as good. It's like not quite there, but it was one person's time and like a few $1,000s versus hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the bigger thing is that she could do it much faster. Instead of months lead time, it was days lead time. And so what that leads is like, do I think in this case we would stop spending, call it $250,000 on video production? No. I think I would just make way more iterations of better quality content that are more specific to my audiences in a way that I never could before. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot of companies holding flat, but getting a lot more opportunity and leverage from the work they're doing from this new technology that we're in front of.
Yeah, I also love this idea of like using those, let's call it $2,000 AI generated videos as tests.
Yes.
To then figure out, okay, which of these 10 ideas is the best? And then we use that one idea to then go scale the big thing. One of the arguments that I hear a lot of, and this is like a framework that I think you can apply not just to marketing but across the board, is that like a lot of standout companies are the difference between 85 to 90% good enough to 99, 100%. Like I think a lot of people are good. You know, it's like vibe coding. A lot of people can create good stuff.
Yes.
A lot of people can create good enough where it's 85 to 95% right. But the stuff that stands out, the stuff that keeps customers excited, the stuff that gets you hired when it's a very competitive job market is like being that like 99 to 100%. You know, I guess we never really reach 100, but 98 to 99 percentile. What's your take on that? Like good versus great right now? Because I think there's so much slop out there. There's so much... you can spend a few $1,000s to make something, but actually the stuff that's really going to get people motivated to buy and do and stay, honestly, is being really, really great.
Yeah, stop the slop, right?
Stop the slop.
Stop the slop.
Yeah. We need like a picket sign, like a
Sue
poster
Neal,
or
who
something.
runs brand for us, came up with stop the slop, and I was like, yeah, that's actually it's actually what you want. It was kind of like the genesis of your question, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you compete in a world of more? And I think back to like earlier in my career, I was working for HubSpot co-founder and CEO Brian Halligan, and we would be doing stuff on the marketing side, and he would just like every week he would see something we did and he would just respond to me and he'd be like, the definition of remarkable is to be remarked upon. And that was his way of saying like, this is not good enough.
Yeah.
This is the bar of quality has not been there. And I think the point you're raising, which is true, is that meeting that bar of remarkability is now more important than it's ever been, because there's used to be like if you created enough average or good stuff, you could break through. And now it's like, no, you can't break through. There's just way too much stuff. You have to break through by creating that like top 99 percentile idea, work, polish, timing of it, all of that stuff. And so I think it's more important than ever. I think taste and the execution of taste is the most important skill in modern marketing today. And I think the companies that you see are breaking through are really doing truly remarkable work by definition.
Are there certain areas within marketing in particular where you think taste matters most? I know it's important across the stack, but is it like your website messaging? Is it your customer onboarding? Is it your employees engaging on social media in a way that, like, what are the things that you think it's extremely essential that every brand gets that taste and like quality bar right? Yeah,
so I advise a bunch of startups. I talk to founders every week, and inevitably they're like, oh, how do I think about testing this? Or how do I think about the ROI of this thing? And at some point I just stopped them. I was like, hey, I just want you to know that sometimes you just have to be freaking cool. Like you just have to do something that is different and interesting and cool. And so to tie back to your question of like, what is like the parts of marketing where that stands out? A lot of it's like stunts, a lot of it's social, it's a lot of like partnerships, how you partner with cool creators or other brands. It is largely how you deliver the unexpected. And I'd actually make the argument that you can deliver the unexpected in product marketing or in email marketing or any of those things, right? But I think the most successful teams right now are figuring out how to deliver that like unexpected, remarkable experience across as many marketing channels, marketing touch points as possible. I think you're seeing it manifest the most on like social and stunts and events and those types of things right now.
I feel like this like URE, what did you just call it? You called it the unexpected remarkable experience.
Yeah.
It's like something you guys need to coin because that's so much of it. It's like unexpected, it's really remarkable, and it's more of an experience than anything else.
Yes.
So I feel like that language feels like really strong.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. We have an amazing woman, Kat, who runs all of our events and experiences. And like something she and I talk about all the time is like, in this world of AI and technology, experience, in-person experience, memorable experience is becoming way, way more important.
Yeah.
It's just way more important. And it's hard, I think, for people who are watching this who are very digital first people to realize that that is a really important part, especially a really important part with everybody else who lives in the world who are less digital obsessed than we are.
Totally. I could not agree with you more. It also, there's this concept that like events, you like break even, and there's not a lot of like money to be made. And so I think there's this fear too that if you lean too much into IRL or experiences, that there's just the ROI is just not there.
Yeah, here's what I would tell everybody. I would tell everyone, take all historical assumptions and assume that they are wrong. Like if I am like waking up with existential dread every day, then like you cannot also wake up in the morning and say, oh, I'm just going to assume that the way that this has always happened is the way that's going to work for me. Like, those two things do not compute. So either you don't have the dread and you think status quo is continuing on and you're worried about all the things you just said, or you have the dread and it's like, hey, I have to go and know that I can approach old things in new ways and get very different results.
Yeah, I think that's the scary part for a lot of people. It's like rewriting the playbook in their mind, and especially on the investor side, people who've been investing for so many decades, the pattern matching there is tough.
We call it new optimism about old problems. It's like, can you have new optimism about old problems? And there's a lot of opportunity in that.
And like a refreshed mindset around it too.
Yes, exactly.
On Trailblazers, we spotlight founders who succeed by doing things differently, not by following the playbook, but by rewriting it. Many of those unconventional builders and the VCs backing them run on Brex because it helps them scale with speed and focus. From smart corporate cards and high-yield banking to AI-powered expense management, Brex gives startups the financial stack they need from day one so they can spend more time building and less time managing back-office operations. More than 30,000 companies, from breakout startups like Anthropic and Cursor to global leaders like DoorDash and Plaid, trust Brex to help them spend smarter and move faster. That's why we, as a venture firm and also the podcast, run on Brex too. Sign up at brex.com/trailblazerspod to get started and claim exclusive rewards. That's brex.com/TRAILBLAZERSPOD. RocketReach is the leading sales and lead intelligence solution trusted by sales, marketing, recruiting, and business development teams to grow their businesses. Whether you're looking for a developer halfway around the world, a C-level executive in New York, or a potential investor in Silicon Valley, we connect you directly. With RocketReach, you can easily access the most comprehensive, accurate compilation of emails and phone numbers on Earth. That puts you in front of the right people faster and backs you up with a database that reaches across industries, markets, and titles, using AI to continually improve the quality of your contacts. With RocketReach, you can reach anyone so you can reach higher. Many of you know I love cold outreach. It's been the root of many of my success so far, and this is the tool that I've used the whole time. Trailblazer listeners get 15% off any plan at rocketreach.co/trailblazers. That's rocketreach.co/trailblazers. So one of the things that I think is so unique about HubSpot, and a lot of this is attributed to you, because I hinted at it in the bio, but you've been at HubSpot now for 16 years, which is absolutely incredible, is that you guys have been so media first, and it's something that is so unique for a software company. I mean, I think you guys have sort of crafted the playbook for like what it means to be at the forefront of SEO, at the forefront of like email marketing. You've acquired all these really interesting businesses, and that is not what other competitors in your lane have been doing.
Sure.
Talk to me a little bit about that strategy. Like, why be so media first? What's been the narrative internally? And again, for those of you that research like other CRMs out there, this is not normal with your guys' approach. Yeah. It's really innovative. So why do that? Why acquire like The Hustle, for example, and like why create HubSpot Media? And we were just chit-chatting before this. They're creating an amazing studio here in New York City to do incredible production. Why spend so much on media and marketing, and specifically media?
I'll give you a couple answers to that question. One, we all have our biases. And my very first job at HubSpot was to write the HubSpot blog. And I have a degree in journalism. And I have a bias towards not media, I would say, but storytelling. And more important, like owning the storytelling. And this is a little bit isn't this just like Rockefeller, Musk? It's just vertical integration just brought to marketing. Nothing, I look at it as like not that novel where it's like, I want to control all of it. I want to control the message, the distribution, the merchandising, the advertising, all of it, versus renting bits and pieces from everybody else, because I think there's way higher leverage there. Like, one of the principles I live my business life by is that distribution is undefeated. That if you have distribution, you will figure everything else out.
We share that mindset.
You and I have bonded over that mindset before. And so, like, if distribution is undefeated, then my primary job, if that's your principle, is to figure out what the best distribution arbitrage that exists is, to go and get the best distribution for the lowest cost. And one of the ways to do that, one of the very best ways to do this is what we've done. And you asked why we acquired The Hustle. We acquired The Hustle a few years ago. Shout out Sam Parr and Steph and Trung and an amazing team of people that are now, like, if you're on X, half the people you read on X were like working at The Hustle. Like, Sam's talent density was incredible. Part of it is like we wanted that talent density because it transformed how we thought about content and media and production and all of that. We had a great text content that people search for online, but we weren't showing up everywhere else that people were really engaging. So we got this awesome email newsletter in The Hustle. We got what was a really early version of the My First Million podcast, which is now one of the top business podcasts in the world. And that allowed us to then go and build a whole network of email newsletters, a whole network of podcasts and YouTube shows. And now, we reach 70 plus million people a month across the media network. And that is like unprecedented. Like, we launch a product, I can activate it against a bigger network than most of our competition could afford to buy the media on. And it's like, I own it. It doesn't cost me anything. I can do it immediately. Like, we can change the date and it's fine. And like, there's real leverage and real power in that.
I mean, you and I obviously are very aligned in this. I think a lot of the rest of the industry has not caught up on it.
They're wrong.
Yeah. Why is that? Why do you think there is this like bias towards it actually being more about maybe product, or you don't need to be so vertically integrated, or all the other pushback that I hear? Why do you think that is?
I think it's the same thing that, like, I think this answer is the same for many things. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
if you ask me what the hardest part of marketing is, it's not like nailing the positioning of a product. It's not like figuring out the automation flow for an email or any of those things. The hardest thing is to get somebody who doesn't know or care about you at all to care about you and take some action. Like, that is incredibly, incredibly hard. And because it's hard, and because a lot of people don't know where to start, they just like, oh, it's too hard. I got to do this thing I know better. And I think that's why.
I also think a lot of it has to do with consistency. And
Yes.
so much of distribution, at least what I see, is like people get that early start where they're like, okay, maybe it is too hard, but they try. And then they realize that that doesn't always work. And it requires iterating and figure out the new algorithm and actually showing up every day and testing out new strategies. And I think that is a lot of it too. It's like the ability to be consistent for pretty much everything in life. It's why very few
Yes.
people run ultra marathons,
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Consistency is like the underpinning of great distribution. And I think that that's really hard.
There's two underpinnings. And,
Okay,
and
tell me.
consistency is one of them.
Yeah.
One of the words we use all the time is like, we'll talk about like a new project or whatever. We'll be like, oh yeah, what do you think the grind on this is? Like, is this like a 12-month grind? Is this a 2-year grind? Like, what's the grind to make this a real thing? That's step one. Step one is have conviction, grind through the pit of despair. Step two, once you're through the pit of despair, all in. That's what you have to. You have to say, I have figured out this thing. I know how. Like, what most people do is they figure out something and they're like, cool, I figured that out. I'm gonna go work on something else. It's like, no. You've done all of the hard work. You've grinded through it. You've figured it out. All in. As much capital and resources, time, until that thing will break. And that is what most people do not do.
Wow. I love that framework. That's really good. Haven't heard it phrased like that before.
It's all you have to do. And it's just turns out it's simple but hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another visual I want to have on like a poster right here.
Totally.
So you mentioned this, but I think it's something that's really remarkable at HubSpot is that, and funny enough, that was your first job, which is cool, the HubSpot blog.
Yeah.
And SEO is something that I feel like you guys, I mean, every company now, and especially in the past like 5 years, has a blog. They have a blog, they're pumping out SEO content, they're trying to rank higher in search results. But this very interesting thing has happened. And, instead of, everyone who's listening to this knows too, instead of going into Google and typing in, what's the best restaurant around me?
Yeah.
I now go to ChatGPT or Claude, pick your poison. And it's actually instead of search engine optimization, it's more about answer engine optimization. And there's this huge debate in our world about what is the future of search and demand gen and, basically just surfacing up results via ads or not via ads. What does that look like? I'd love your take on what you're seeing in terms of the future SEO. Is a lot of this like fear around it valid? Is it not? Give me your 2 cents as someone who probably knows it better than most.
Spent a lot of time on this topic. We have been into the answer engine game for about 18 months now, and we call it AEO, answer engine optimization. And so I'll just use that as we're talking about it here. What's interesting and fascinating about answer engine optimization is that it has some fun, different leverage points than traditional search engine optimization. In the traditional search engine optimization, it would take 3-6 months of writing, creating content to really get indexed, get crawled, get the credibility, get the inbound links to really start seeing an inflection point in traffic. The LLMs, they don't care. It's much more instant, so that's one. The algorithms, how they surface things, are very specific to the LLM, and they're very cross-platform. Like OpenAI has the Reddit deal, where they have the access to the Reddit Firehouse. So Reddit's a big factor of how they prioritize. And so you can have the most perfectly optimized website, but if there's nobody talking about your company on Reddit, you're probably not going to show up in the same way that you otherwise would in ChatGPT. And we could spend an hour on all the optimizations. I think the root of your question is hey, if I'm out there and I'm trying to grow a business, how much do I think about this AEO thing, and how much do I think about this very traditional search engine optimization thing?
Yeah.
Right?
Because there's a lot of people out there that have, and even small businesses, they're just trying to get some business. That's it. They don't care. They don't care if they're trying to optimize for AEO, SEO. They just want to make sure that they're showing up.
Yeah. When I was early in my career, I took 36 weeks of improv just to get better at speaking and more comfortable. And that's the whole yes and SEO and AEO are yes and they're not mutually exclusive. A lot of what you do for one also helps the other. So I try to help people be it's not binary. That being said, my general advice to folks is if you're just getting started and you have no search presence at all in traditional search, you should invest heavily in traditional search. Traditional search is going to be around for a while. It's going to take a long time to die off. It is a huge audience, and especially if you were targeting not the bleeding digital edge, persona, then it's a really important market for you. And if you do that, and then if you look at all the data, ChatGPT is still kind of the broadest and most popular search use case on the AEO or AI side of things, and you should think about what are some unique things that I can do to do that. And a lot of that's probably smart stuff you're already doing. If you're doing affiliate marketing, for example, affiliate marketing helps you show up in different ways across the web that also helps your AEO. There's just little tactical things that you can do that it can be really helpful.
Are there any resources that you guys have found particularly helpful in terms of people or companies that publish a lot on this, or have you found that it's just more trial and error and seeing what works?
It's a lot of trial and error. We have a free AEO grader tool. If you just search HubSpot AEO grader, it'll just tell you, give you the baseline of how you show up across Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini,
and we'll link that in show notes.
Yeah, what you're able to do and everything. And so I think it's very early days. I think everybody is still learning, and we're publishing a bunch of content, and a lot of other smart companies are. But I think the rules are changing very frequently. It's something you have to stay up on, just like the early days of SEO was kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but it's so exciting because you can
huge opportunity.
Yeah, you can. It's the early .coms. Everyone's buying those even in crypto, everyone's buying the .eth, and you can actually make a major splash before anyone else.
Yeah, the heuristic I would tell people is that the AEO stuff, you get way less traffic to your website, but that traffic is way higher quality. That's the thing you need to know. You will get way less visits, 5% of the visits you would get from a traditional Google search query back to your website, but those 5 visits are highly, highly qualified. So you do also have to think about how you monetize and convert those visits.
It makes so much sense because if you look at those crazy charts and you look at the percentage of the population actually using a lot of these ChatGPT, Claude, models, it's really small. So the people that are engaging with it are already in sort of the top 1% innovative, adopting new technology, to your point. And so if that's how they're coming and finding you, like you said, higher quality.
I would just argue we're entering this era of information symmetry between buyers and sellers. It used to be that the seller, the company or the salesperson had all the information. Then Google and social media came along. It's the buyers had there was a big stat for a long time, 60% of the buying process happens before they talk to your salesperson. Now it's just even. I can go into an LLM and it will tell me what the total cost of ownership of your product is. It'll tell me what your pricing is, even if your pricing isn't public. Everything is democratized. Which is
wild.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, so this actually brings up a very interesting conversation about agents buying on behalf of humans.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a really wild thing. I mean, we hear a lot in the marketing world where you were used to be in this era of like product-led growth where humans were making decisions, but they had a great product and they loved it. Now you're hearing a lot of arguments for agent-led growth where it's actually agents are going to be showing up. And I'll give an example. Like let's say you are a founder and you're trying to figure out which CRM you want to use. And instead of you making that buying decision, you're basically sending out an agent to evaluate all the options out there, HubSpot being one of them. And HubSpot or this agent is deciding which CRM to use. And let's say they choose one and then they maybe don't have as good of an experience. They handle all of the switching to a new CRM. Talk to me about how do you think about crafting your marketing differently if you're appealing to an agent versus a human? It's a crazy thing to think about, but if it's not, a human experience on your product and it's an agent, that changes everything.
It does change. It changes a lot of things, but the human is still largely setting a lot of the proxy and the criteria, right? Like in the example you give, if that agent's going out and doing research, it's doing it in the context of that business, the problems they're trying to solve, and that's what's really different here is that you're getting like this deeply personalized recommendation. And ultimately, where we are today is that human is still making the decision. The agent's not making an autonomous decision. And part of that is going to, I think, take a while because payment rails and like all of the infrastructure to more remove humans from the loop is going to take a little while.
I have a good company for that though. But yes,
I'm glad. I think it's an awesome space. It's just
it's
just a time and money problem. I think it's coming, but it's gonna take a little bit of time. So I think the human is still there. I think the other thing that is not there in the way that people think it is the switching costs are still very high. There's not agents that are magically switching, especially anytime if you have workflows or ironically, like let's say you have a bunch of agents doing important work for you, switching is very hard because you want to rebuild those agents. Do you want to take them offline? How are you going to make that handoff work is actually very hard. So I don't think we're quite there on the agent buying. I think we're there on the agent researching and leading the buying process and making a recommendation for a human, and that human going and taking action is where they're at there. And when you think about winning in that world, it goes back to the AEO stuff we were just talking about and how you're showing up. We spend a lot of time looking at our CDN traffic and the bots that are coming through and what pages everybody are going to. And so auditing that and understanding that you have the right resources and that those resources are accessible to both humans and robots, I think is the number one thing.
Totally. I think the contradiction I struggle with is that agents in theory do better with pretty quantitative and binary information.
Yes.
Like as an example, HubSpot charges X dollars per year and this other CRM charges Y dollars per year. And, this company's been around for X years and this one's been for Y years. It's very quantitative in nature, at least right now when they do a lot of research or recommendations. But then on the other hand, you and I talk about the importance of taste and, URE, which we were talking about, unexpected remarkable experiences and all this stuff that's actually a lot more qualitative and harder to pin down and just doing things that are cool. And so how do you rationalize that struggle? Because that's a tension that when I speak with founders, I'm like, I hear you. Like it's hard. You want to do all this cool stuff that is going to make you stand out to humans, but then agents might be prioritizing different things.
So there's two things there that I think are really important. One, the human has the override. And if you do something remarkable, the human's going to make the override. They're going to be like, yeah, I see what you're saying, agent, but this just makes me feel good and makes me feel cool, so I'm just going to go and do this thing.
Because they're still making the buying decisions.
They're still making
but we don't know for how long.
Yes, I mean, that is true. But at the end of the day, even if the agent makes the buying decision, the human has a veto right.
That's true.
And so if the human's just like, I think this is cool, I want to be part of this community, I fundamentally believe that's really important. The other thing that matters is a lot that I don't think we have talked about is what is the evaluation criteria in which the agents use? And I think as a participant in a market, you get to set the evaluation criteria. For example, in the CRM market, total cost of ownership is a really wild thing. It's HubSpot might be slightly more expensive to start, but you need way less admins to manage it. Your API costs are going to be way lower, all of these things. And so what's the agent buying off of? What's the core criteria decision, not just for the value, but for deciding what's the best value for that company? And I think it's every, vendor company's role in a market to try to set that criteria up so that the agent sees the playing field the way that they want it seen.
That's so interesting. You're making me think of, so one of the criteria I just mentioned was like age of company. Like if a company has been around for a lot longer, does the agent think that that's a really good thing because they have proof, or does it think that it's not as good of a thing because they're not so innovative? With that being said, there's a lot of, startups that have been around for a while. I'll use Intercom and Airtable as two examples, who have since created these basically new companies that look like they've been around only for like a year or two. Like we'll use FinAI as an example, because they want to come across as new, innovative, on the frontier. Could be some startup that Sequoia just backed. What's your take on these big companies creating net new companies?
I have hot takes.
Give me hot takes. Give me.
The incumbents are good, everybody. That's my hot take.
Said by a true HubSpot CMO.
No, but like, and I say that like being a quasi incumbent. Like I'm not.
I know you're not as legacy.
I'm not Oracle. I'm not like, and so I'm using like the capitalized version of that. Like, if you think all the models commoditize and a lot of the things here, what actually matters: brand, distribution, all the things. I'll tell you what AI cannot accelerate: hiring salespeople and training salespeople. Like. Agents can do some of that work for you, but if you're talking about selling $1 million deals, all these things, like there's throughput that you have to still have humans do a lot of, and there's real incumbent advantage. The other thing is like incumbents aren't sleepy anymore. They're not like asleep at the wheel. They're like, we're all reinventing ourselves on top of the awesome install-based distribution, everything we have. Like our customer agent, like our version of Fin, same resolution. Cheaper price, like it's awesome, and it's growing like crazy. It's like if you're a startup and you should be on the leading edge, or you should reinvent yourself. But at the same time, I think incumbents are being very, very underrated in this cycle. And my prediction is that we'll wake up in 36 months and say, oh, turns out that a lot of the value accrued to the incumbents.
I've been thinking that for a while as well. We're definitely on the same page there. But it's interesting, as a venture investor, like you see technology changing things, but how much of that market opportunity is for startups to grab versus incumbents to keep? Yeah. And I think that's the constant tension with stuff like this.
My fingers still work occasionally, and I've been battling, like thinking about writing an article around like, just what if everybody's wrong? What if the opposite of what everybody thinks is actually true? Like, what would that look like? And one of the things that would look like is that a lot of the value accrues to the incumbents. The incumbents actually, because of the context, because of the data, because of the distribution, are able to actually create more valuable experiences than somebody net new who might not have like technical debt or some of the incumbent challenges, but doesn't have all these AI companies I talk to. It's like, oh, nobody trusts us. How do I? None of them know how to cost effectively acquire customers. Like that's, and a lot of them, quite frankly, they're passing through subsidized. Yes. LLM costs.
Venture dollars. It's like the old Facebook ads.
Exactly. It's
you
the
just
whole
take it from
subsidy.
Here and you put it here. I don't know if you saw this too, but the new OpenAI funding round, like Amazon, Nvidia and stuff, it's just you're just taking costs from one area to another, paying for GPUs, paying for cloud spend. Like it's just you just poured it from one place to another.
At some point, the game of musical chairs stops, and I do think that. Look, some incumbents are not going to do well, and some incumbents are going to do great. It's not like. It's not going to be clear, just like some startups are going to do well and a lot of startups are going to fail. But to say that the whole future, I think, is just startups or just incumbents would be ignorant.
Yeah, totally. And there is, like you said, so much to be said for incumbents who have a whole team of people that have been doing this for a while, that know how to fix the bugs that you vibe coded and don't know how to fix, that have the distribution, all that.
I challenge people, like, bet against me. Like, I'm out there, like, building stuff, and we have the value of having an amazing community of people who trust us, as well as the knowledge. Like I always tell everybody, I was like, look, startups know what to do. They just don't quite have the resources to do everything they want to do. A lot of big companies historically have had the resources, they just don't know what to do. The danger is when you have a company that knows how to do both and knows exactly what to do, can move fast, and has the resources to do it. And I think you're seeing a lot of companies out there that are doing that.
Yeah, it's really, and it's so exciting too that a lot of them are public.
Yes.
So to see a lot of this enthusiasm, be reflected in the public markets, hopefully with time. It's going to be a very interesting thing as well. We didn't get into that part, but
in the short term, it's a voting mechanism. In the long term, it's a weighing mechanism. And I like my odds in the weighing mechanism.
I love it. Don't bet against Kipp. That's what I say. If you work in venture or startups, you know the constant juggling act. Replying to messages from co-investors, founders, LPs, customers, and teammates, all hitting your personal number. I know this very well. We all hand out our cell, which means your EA can't help an iMessage, and important threads get buried. That's why I'm very excited about Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's built for founders and investors like us who want communication that feels personal but stays organized. Quo gives you a dedicated business line on your existing cell phone. And if you already have a business number, you can bring it with you for free. Plus, you'll get call summaries, transcripts, and an AI voice agent called Sona that can answer and schedule when you're offline. We're actually cooking up something fun with the Quo team right now and using that same voice AI tech in a new way for our firm. More soon, but it's a great reminder that you can use voice AI to stay top of mind of your customers' needs. Quo is trusted by over 90,000 businesses and rated number 1 on G2 for customer satisfaction. You can get 20% off your first 3 months at quo.com/trailblazers. That's quo.com/trailblazers. So I've actually used Gusto at 3 different companies, and every time it's been such a relief. It's simple, it's reliable, and my paycheck was always on time, no drama. And unlike the big clunky payroll systems out there, Gusto is online payroll and benefit software specifically built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use, so you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. For smaller startups in particular, I have found that it's the most affordable and easy to set up option, and it's the one that we recommend to all of our startups at our firm. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/trailblazers and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/trailblazers. One more time, gusto.com/trailblazers. Amazing. Okay, so let's get into the lightning round.
Let's do it.
Okay, great. Let me know whatever comes to mind first.
Great.
Book in hand or podcast in ears?
Podcast in ears.
We didn't talk about this, but you have a podcast, Marketing Against the Grain.
Yes, host a podcast, Marketing Against the Grain. Please go subscribe.
Besides your own, what's your favorite podcast? And it can't be My First Million because that's also a HubSpot affiliate.
I'm trying to, I listen to a lot of the Ringer podcast because I'm a Bravo sports fan. Like, I don't have time to watch the games, but I want to know what's happening in the culture. Yeah. Right? Like, I want to be informed enough so that if I'm having a conversation with somebody, because I'm fairly introverted, that I know what's going on. And so I listen to a lot of the sports stuff from the Ringer just to, like, when I'm working out, to be like, know
up
what's
to speed.
Happening. Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Yeah, it's hard to commit to like a full game of any kind.
Yes.
Yeah, especially now. There's a lot to do. Morning person or night owl?
Morning. First thing. I love just getting up and going.
I love it. That's what we're doing right now. For those of you who are listening, we are recording this at a very early hour.
Very early hour, and yes. I could not be happier about it.
I love it. You're forcing me to be more of a morning person. I'm more of like a normal morning person. You're a very early morning.
Yeah, I am.
Cooking dinner or ordering in?
Cooking. I love cooking.
What do you like to cook?
I've cooked my whole life. I cook literally everything. I make a really good oxtail orecchiette would be what would be
okay, I gotta
a good
ask,
winter meal.
Is an orecchiette a type of pasta?
It's a type of pasta. It's Italian for ear. So it looks like, it's like you press it down, it looks like an ear.
That's really impressive. Oxtail orecchiette, that is.
There you go. That's what I would
Master
make.
Chef. Love it. Okay, what about if you're like plant-based vegan? I'm not fully vegan, but I'm not going to eat oxtail. What are you going to make?
Oh, great question. I'm probably going to make like a chickpea, sweet potato stew, like with some like couscous or quinoa, like kind of Moroccan.
Yeah, sounds like it.
North African vibes. Like I've started eating a lot of vegetarian, vegan food, so that's like tends to be just beans of some type. Beans are highly underrated. The hot
So
take:
good.
eat way more beans. They're really great for you. So it would be like chickpeas, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, kind of a stew. Would be awesome.
Love it. Sounds good. Okay, I'll take that over the oxtail, but
okay.
I'm sure the oxtail's great.
Yes.
VC or bootstrapping?
VC. If you're gonna play to win.
Love it. Networking dinner or big conference?
Networking dinner. It's quality over quantity.
Okay. It's said by an introvert too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I would say neither, but you made me pick one.
You're like, I choose stay home and
Can
go on my
I just
computer?
stay on my computer? But no, that's not an option. So I had to pick one.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're following the game.
Yeah.
Hire slow or fire fast?
Hire slow. I have been notorious for hiring slow, and I have almost gotten fired myself for hiring slow, and it's always been the right thing to do. And I've been able to hire transformational people and would not change it.
What contributes to hiring them so slow? Is it that you're figuring out if it's a fit? Is that you have to convince them that it's worth it?
I have a very, very specific process I run that I will not deviate from because it delivers success almost all the time, and it's just a long process. It involves spending a lot of time with the final couple candidates and like really going deep.
Can you give us a quick overview?
Yeah,
of the process?
overview of the process. Write a job rec in which you are very, very clear what the 5 bullet points this human being needs to be one of the best people in the world at. And talk to anybody who's involved in working with this person. Like, do we all agree on the list of stuff? Great. If we agree on the list of stuff, then you go and you talk to people in the world that you think are some of the best people in the world at that list of stuff. And your whole job is to understand, what does great look like? Am I calibrated on what great looks like? After you do that, you then need to go talk to candidates, and you need to spend an hour with everybody first round, because you're spending the first half of the hour questioning them. You're spending the second half of the hour selling them, because you never know which one of those people are going to be the person, and you're going to need to go. Then you're going to have some group of people talk to them and interview them. You don't want to hire the consensus person. You want to hire people who spike. You know, some people love, some people hate, versus like everybody's kind of okay on. You want to hire the more polarizing people. Once you kind of have 1 or 2 final people, you need to go in person with them for a day. And you need to drill down on the problems, whiteboard, go out to dinner, see how they treat everybody out in the world, and get a deep understanding of who that human is. Then you make a call.
And what do you do during that day? Is it talking about HubSpot problems? Is it talking about other problems that they've worked on in the past?
It's both. It's literally like, I will be like, here are the concerns I have about you doing this role. Let's talk about them. Let's go through them. Let's break them all down.
Super transparent.
Super transparent. Here are the biggest problems I have. Talk to me about how you are going to, in detail, like tactically, not just figuratively, but like, what would we do? What would the first 90 days like? How would we do this together? And so like, you end that with like, like, oh, I kind of largely know what this person and I would do for the first few months of working together.
I love that. People look at you and they think marketer, but they also, I think a lot of people forget you've hired so many people.
I've interviewed thousands and thousands of people. It's probably the thing I am best at in the world, is like figuring out how to assess people.
Absolutely. And people forget that because they see marketing and they forget that there's this people element. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
very helpful. 10 small wins or 1 big moonshot?
Neither, but 1 big moonshot. I believe in like the venture approach. You need to have a lot of big bets and know a lot of them are going to fail and a couple are going to win. But if you have the choice, like you have to break through.
Play to win.
You got to play to win. Otherwise, don't play the game.
Yeah. It's too competitive now. I mean, it's too hard. You got to wake up with anxiety,
like
we both wake up with.
It's not worth phoning it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely not worth it.
Exactly. Being early or being right?
Are they mutually exclusive? You got to be right.
Okay. And why?
Well, I'm assuming this question is in the like vein of like, it's a big, important, existential thing.
It is.
And if that's the case, then like you can't afford to just be early and wrong. Like that, we talk a lot about like the second mouse gets the cheese. The first mouse often gets caught in the trap. The second mouse gets the cheese. And like, you really want to be a second mouse. You want to like get the cheese metaphorically, but be right about the problem you're solving and learn a little bit from the people who are really, really early. I like to live on the frontier. But there's always a gap between that frontier and what I want to commit to and really like operationalize.
Yeah, it's hard to know for sure when to take that leap if you don't want to be too early.
I think so.
Never post on social media again, or never fundraise another dollar again. And this is not just for HubSpot. This is like for your life. Yeah.
Never fundraise another dollar. Distribution's undefeated.
There we go. Look at you.
Distribution
Look at
is
that.
Undefeated, baby.
I'm going to slip you a 20 right now.
No, it's just what I believe this in my soul.
We're
we
aligned.
need to get matching shirts or something.
I know.
We'll do a brand collab.
Absolutely. Okay. Is AI overhyped or underhyped?
Under.
Okay. Tell me more.
I think the technology is far past today what most people need. Like, I think you can do so much, and that way more than most people are taking advantage of. And so it's not that people aren't hyping it a lot. It's just the actual, like, humans haven't caught up to all the value that exists yet.
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, that chart where like so few people are actually using it too. Imagine what happens when the whole world is actually bought into this premise. Yeah, it's wild. Kipp, thank you for being here.
Erica, thanks so much for having me.
This was so fun.
This was
really
awesome.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
On Trailblazers, we're always talking about multiplying your impact, and that's exactly what Athena helps you do. Athena pairs you with a world-class executive assistant who becomes a true force multiplier for your business and your life. Working with my Athena assistant has been transformative. Gab was instrumental in raising Park Rangers Capital's fund in ways that I could have never imagined an assistant could contribute, from closing six-figure checks to identifying new LPs we should meet to matching my tone perfectly in follow-up emails. He's elevated my capacity as a founder by giving me more time to focus on the highest leverage work. Athena isn't just about scheduling meetings, it's about unlocking leverage. Hundreds of founders, investors, and executives trust Athena to free their time and scale their impact. Athena is offering our listeners $2,000 off for their first year of service and priority onboarding. And you want that, trust me, there's a very long wait list. When you're ready to multiply your impact and free up time for the things only you can do, go to athenago.me/Erica-Wenger. That's athenago.me/ERICA-WENGER. Thanks so much for listening to the Trailblazers podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. You can also support our work by sharing it with a friend or leaving a quick review. It helps more contrarian builders find us. For more on Park Rangers Capital and our community of elephant founders, head to parkrangerscap.com or find me online at Erica_Wenger. Until next time, keep trailblazing.